Hey everyone, I am Nikki. I am the owner of two small businesses, and I'm here to talk to you today about why tier based pricing may be causing your customers to walk away. This video is for you if you're a permanent jewelry business owner or a boutique business owner who uses tiered pricing and you've ever wondered why your customers hesitate at your higher tiers. So stay tuned. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about just the concept of tiered pricing. And tiered pricing, I believe in it. I use it. I'm looking over here because this is where my jewelry displays are for my permanent jewelry business. And I think it's incredibly effective. It helps guide your customers, create an entry point, as well as give them like aspirational options as well. But your tiered pricing is only going to work if the tiers make sense to the customer, not just to you. So, your goal here is that you want to create a customer centric experience. I talk about this all the time. This is what my channel is about because if your purchasing process is not easy on the customer, they're just going to walk away. One of the most common mistakes that I see in tiered pricing, and let me tell you what I mean by tiered pricing. Tiered pricing is when you have, so I'll use permanent jewelry as an example because that's the world that I live in. I sell three different chain levels or tiers. And so I have like an entry level, more basic tier, and then I have like the mid tier, and then I have an aspirational tier. So that's going to be like my premium tiered pricing, meaning that my customers come in, they want a permanent jewelry a bracelet, and they have kind of three different price points to be able to choose from. And it is really effective. So, one mistake that I see a lot, and again, I'm going to talk a lot about permanent jewelry because that's the space that I'm in, but this also applies to boutique owners as well. So, a common mistake that I see is that we as permanent jewelry business owners, we build our tiers around the cost of the materials. And same thing in clothing. I have gone to clothing stores before where I see that the same shirt, same style, same everything is going to cost me more if I get a size large versus if I get a size small. Why? Well, because a large size uses more material. And so, same concept when it comes to jewelry or permanent jewelry is that we buy these spools or chains, and some of them cost us more because we are paying for it by the ounce or by the inch. And yeah, like for example, a thicker gold chain is probably going to cost me significantly more than a daintier gold chain. But here's the thing, your customers don't care how much it costs you. So, this is where I really want you to focus back on your customer. And of course, that doesn't mean make bad business decisions. The whole pricing strategy is a part of a larger conversation, and you have to have enough margin in there no matter what your tier is. But your customer doesn't care what your costs are, and honestly, they should not care about what your costs are because you are not selling them a thing. You are not selling them metal. You are not selling them fabric. You are selling them a memory. You are selling them emotion. You are selling them a goal, meaning, aspiration, connection, you name it, whatever it is. It's never about the thing that you're selling them, it's about so much more. So, when somebody sees a higher tier, it's not that they're sitting there wondering, I wonder how much this cost them to buy. I wonder what their cost of goods sold are. No, 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 no. And if they're starting to think that way, then you're bringing them back to reality, and that's not where you want them to be. You want them when they're purchasing to be emotional, aspirational, whatever it is that your goal is for your customer. In other words, when I have a customer come in, and again, I keep looking over here because it's where my jewelry is. I'll just show you like a quick peek of it. So, when your customer comes in, and in fact, you know what? I'm just going to walk you right over there because I'm going to mimic what the customer experience might look like from one of my customers. Okay, so my customer comes in, they say, hey, I want a permanent bracelet, and they're looking at all of these, right? They're taking them off, they're putting the chains on their wrist, they're trying them on, they're telling me what they're hoping for. And they'll ask me, they'll say, okay, so I see these are all classic chains and these are premium. What's the difference between the two? And if I say the premium chains cost me more, I've lost them. I've lost them because then again, we're bringing them back to reality versus the emotion that they came in here with. And so immediately they're going to talk themselves out of it. They're going to say, oh, no, 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 I can't spend that much. Versus the language that I use for my customers is in this classic tier. So these are going to be more minimalist bracelets with kind of classic timeless styles, but premium bracelets, they just have a little bit more pizzazz. And so that works for my customers because my customers want pizzazz. They want something that's a little bit different and they're willing to pay more for it. Again, going into that aspiration. So when they see the chains on my classic rack, they say, like, oh, yeah, this looks familiar. I've had a chain like this. My grandma had a bracelet like this. And many of my customers really like that. At the same time, you may have an entry level tier as well. And what that's going to do is that's going to position your mid level tier to be where your customers want to be. So your entry point, like your basic tier, is going to position your mid tier in such a way that it's like, oh, well, I don't want the bottom tier, but I'm also not rich and I don't want the top tier. And so most of your sales are going to come from your basic tier, if that makes sense. But my whole point is that in my customers' interactions, they don't need to know how much I'm paying per chain. And I'll be honest with you, there are some chains that are in my classic tier that cost me more, but it all evens out. And again, I price my, uh, in case any of my customers are watching this, I like to say, and this is like a good mentality for you too. I price my stuff well enough that I'm able to stay in business and continue to provide the experience that I want to for my customers. Okay, so again, to reiterate what I'm saying here, you're not selling metal, you're not selling material, you're not selling fabric, you are selling a memory, meaning, aspiration, connection, love, whatever it is that you're selling. So, but when somebody chooses the higher tier, it's not because they did the math and they said in their mind, like, oh, I bet this chain or this shirt cost the business owner more to buy, so I'm okay buying it for more money. No, they're buying the higher tier or the mid grade tier or whatever because that's the one that felt right to them. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the psychology behind this again and what you might be doing that's breaking the sale and losing your customer. So, when you explain your pricing through cost, you pull the customer out of emotion and into logic. So you take them out of the desire that they have and you drop them into reality. And reality, 9 times out of 10, is going to tell them, you don't need this. You don't need to splurge. You don't need to spend your money on this. You can use it on something else. And the other thing is that, like, right now, reality just feels really heavy to people. So them purchasing from you might be their therapy, their way to escape reality, to feel better about what's going on in the world. So instead of imagining how the piece is going to make them feel, when you start talking about the cost of the goods, they start questioning whether they should be spending the money at all. So this is just as a sidebar. This is the same reason why in permanent jewelry, I just don't believe in charging by the inch. I think it oftentimes backfires. The same reason why in clothing boutiques, I don't believe in charging more for size large of the same shirt. Because then it just feels transactional and exclusionary. And that's not what you want in your customer interactions if you want a customer centric business, which, in my opinion, is the long game, and it's what's going to keep you in business for longer versus the nickel and diming your people and having it feel transactional. So, what to do instead? Let's talk about that. Attach aspiration to each tier. Give your customers a solution. So your tiers should reflect identity, not cost. Like I said in my examples, my highest tier, my premium tier is for my customers who just, they're a little extra. They don't want to be like everybody else and they're willing to pay for it. Each tier should help the customer see themselves in that choice. So, like I said, our classic tier is for the woman who loves a clean, subtle, everyday look for her jewelry. Our premium tier is for the woman who prefers, a little more sparkle, a little more pizzazz. So now the difference isn't the price, it's personality. And why this converts better? Well, it all ties back to results, okay? So this keeps the customers in aspiration. And when they're in aspiration, they're more willing to spend money with you. And it helps them decide which tier they belong in or which thing they want to get without justifying. And it also allows you to price confidently without defending your work. So if I, again, going back to my example of bracelets, if I say, well, it's based on thickness of the chain or how hard it is for me to be able to make it or whatever, again, it's like my customer doesn't care, or maybe they do care, but they shouldn't care. They should be thinking about how my product makes them feel or makes them the person that they want to be. So, just some action steps to take for you. Here is something that you can do today. I want you to pick one of your products or services and evaluate the tier for it or the different tiers for it, and just rethink the description, whether it's written on your website or whether it's your talking points that you say to your customer, and rewrite that description without mentioning the materials, the measurement, the size, the cost. Instead, I want you to describe who it's for and how it feels. Okay, so again, just to recap on everything, tiered pricing is amazing. I love it. It has so many benefits, but only when it's executed right. So you have to execute it with your customers in mind, and you are selling your customers aspiration and emotion. You are not selling them on cost of goods. So what you can do today is look at your tiered pricing, look at how you talk about them, the product descriptions on your website, and change how you talk about them. Don't mention materials, measurements, cost, or size. Instead, describe who it's for and how it feels or how it's going to transform them. If you resonate with what I'm saying and you want a little bit more one-on-one help with your pricing tiers or the language that you use with your customers, I do offer client-first strategy sessions. So feel free to send me a message or shoot me an email. My email address is hello@shopcounis.com. That's shopkaunis.com. Or you can just go to shopcounis.com. We focus on small, high-impact changes that make it easier for your customers to say yes. So feel free to reach out to me directly or look at the description in this video. All right. Thank you, and stay tuned for my next tip.